here on the executive summit stage. Now, when cybersecurity is framed in business terms and language that boards can undertake and essentially make informed choices from, it finally becomes something that they can act on. By translating technical risk into organizational risk, security leaders give decision makers the clarity to set appetite, prioritize investments, and understand the real trade-offs behind every single choice. The future of the boardroom conversations isn't about more data or more jargon. It's about meaningful insights that connect security to outcomes, resilience, and value. I really enjoyed that conversation. And on to another brilliant conversation on the stage here. So our next session, Cloud Defense Reality Check, from tactics to tenets, cuts through the hype to confront the real challenges of modern cloud security. Cloud security is accelerating. Machine learning is embedded in every single layer. And when something goes wrong, recovery is not just difficult, it is expensive. So traditional tactics alone can't keep up with the scale, speed, and complexity of today's environments. So this keynote reframes cloud defense around first principles, focusing on what actually reduces noise, lowers impact, and ultimately helps security teams move faster. So on that note, please join me in welcoming to the stage Swathi Joshi, Cloud Security Executive for Oracle, Netflix, and Mandiant.
We have been doing cyber defense the same way last 20 years. Same way of doing incident response, detection engineering, building or buying a SIEM, telemetry, writing rules. With all the external factors changing in the industry, it's time to change the way we do cyber defense operations. And I'm going to tell you exactly how to do it. 10 principles, 10 rules to modernize your cyber defense program. Hi, everybody. I'm Swathi Joshi. I'm here all the way from California. My first time here in Riyadh. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for such a warm welcome and also for tuning into this session. I've spent the last 17 years doing cybersecurity engineering and other fields, and last 10 years specifically in cyber defense engineering and operations. So here is what we're going to talk about today. The next 15 minutes, this is what we'll go through. We'll look back to see what has changed in our industry and how that's going to shape our future. The 10 tenets are divided into 3 categories. Every time you go into a new organization or you're building a new program, you'll have to take a look at it from 3 lenses: technical, leadership, and risk. Because at the end of the day, we want to keep attackers away, and we also want to reduce risk for the business. So that's the goal. So let's learn from the past and look into our future, right? If we consider what was going on early part of the cloud journey, there were 3 main themes. Code is pushed every day, multiple times a day. Merging of development, engineering, security was happening, DevSecOps. As infrastructure costs became cheaper, attacks also started to get cheaper. We saw an increase in phishing, RAS, ransomware as a service. Now, later part in the cloud journey, applications are getting complex. There is interconnectedness with API. We have also since realized that shifting left takes a lot of time, energy, and commitment. And after an incident hits, due to complexity, for us to recover from the incident is more expensive, and it's also time-consuming. So that's the reality. That's the place we are in now. So to combat our new reality and to overcome these obstacles, we need to shift to a new mindset, to a new model. Here are the 10 tenets Let's go through them. So let's start with the first principle here. Stop doing the work that simply gives you a return on investment, but start doing the work that reduces opportunity cost. So what do I mean by that? By default, we're always going to go for the low-hanging fruit, all the simple tasks or the small wins. But are those the right tasks to focus on? For example, we had these risks in our risk register. So we automated the entire risk register, right? We automated risk collection. We built really nice graphs. We also built a nag bot, so we would go nag people who weren't closing the risks. But what are the right risks to focus on to close? So at Netflix, we built a risk quantification methodology called Risk Quant, and we open sourced it. We used the FAIR methodology to do it. It involves forecasting two quantification or two things. One, frequency of loss. So how many times per year a specific loss will happen. And second is magnitude of loss. So if that loss happens, what's the range? What's the dollar value? So now we had a list of prioritized, quantified risks that we wanted to go after. So have that in place. Second, let me tell you a story. Time and time again, I see this dilemma with the security teams. No one wants to do the boring operational work, keep the lights on. Everybody wants to go build the shiny next security product. I don't blame them. That's great. But at Oracle, we realized that automating mundane tasks and building products can be done. So you can have your cake and eat it too. So our detection as a service product was built from that. So we had a solid story for at, rest, or seam detections, but we didn't have a great story for our near real-time detections. So we built one. It not only helped seamlessly have our detection authoring capability, but now we also had a new real-time capability. As practitioners, we get pitched a lot of products. To be honest, we need them, some more than others. So when the time comes to buy a product, how do we recognize what we need? Do we need the products to be generalized, or do we need them to be specialized? My philosophy here has been buy specific product for specific use cases, as long as they play nice with the rest of this ecosystem. So by doing that, that's allowed me to pick the best products to solve the problem, but have the comfort knowing that it's going to be easy for my engineers and operators to deploy and use the product. Taking this concept further, how do you think about solution versus platform? Solutions are great, right? Like they'll solve a point-in-time problem for you. But platform strategy is much better. 2 to 3 years down the line, what's going to help you? A platform. Do it once and do it for all. So within the detection and response team, if you are building a service or a product, they should be consumable by other teams. So they should not be just siloed for specific team. For example, forensics labs are great. If you have just a regionalized solely forensics lab, it's an overkill. But if you have a forensic test platform that can be shared with the red team, pen testing, and used during tabletop exercises, now that's a win. Threat intel platform that can be used by the SOC, adversarial engineering, and threat detection team, now that's collaboration. So everyone with me so far? We've gone through 4 principles, and we have 6 more to go. Let's talk about threat intel for a little bit. Threat intel cannot be just about attribution after an event happens. We need to start proactively monitoring adversaries targeting your specific organization or company. And I'm not talking about generic verticals, right? Technology vertical or finance vertical. We need to look at the tech stack. We need to look at specific TTPs being used, and then have that focused knowledge base with OSINT, with external sharing communities, so you have your threat forecast that's of high confidence. Now, you have your threat forecast, then you pair that with ability to hunt, not only forward, but also ongoing intel, so you can look backwards 90 to 120 days. So hunting forward, hunting backwards, right of boom, left of boom, boom being the incident. That's what needs to happen with threat intel. No more simple tabletop exercises. All exercises should be emulation within production system. You should have the tools to inject live attacks, and we should test these on a quarterly basis. Start testing that ransomware playbook. Start testing that credential stuffing playbook. And all the learnings from these quarterly tests need to then have a feedback loop so we can automate or get better. So we are going to train just like how we fight during incident response. We do not want to build a really vast intel data collection system. We don't want to have continuous threat feeds with very high false positive rates. My advice is to focus our efforts on adversaries with demonstrated interest in targeting the organization. Use prior incident data. Assess industry, capability, asset, intent. So no to broad threat intel feeds and IOCs, but yes to specific high fidelity intel sources. Next, as the security team, invariably, there will come a time where we will hit a wall, the tech debt. But now, when we hit that wall of tech debt, we need to reframe the thinking to not reduce tech debt, but to say, what residual risk does it leave behind? Example, if there is, say, infrastructure that's not decommissioned, it's not really helpful to say, hey, here is infrastructure that's not decommissioned, that's a risk. But the question we need to ask is, what authentication controls are not present? Is there EDR on those systems or not? So focus on residual risk of the systems have left behind versus hitting a wall of tech debt. The next question is, when should a security team centralize its security capability versus decentralize its security capability? From what I have seen, you should centralize risk tracking, but you should decentralize risk mitigation. We as a security team absolutely are responsible for reducing risk for the company, but engineering, operations, production engineering, SRE, data science, everybody has a responsibility as well. So centralize one data, but patching should be decentralized. Centralize the view, centralize data and reporting, but decentralize, empower, recruit, educate your stakeholders, and hold them accountable. This is the way to scale. Last one. One big challenge in front of us is, how do we scale security? At Oracle, it was 80 SaaS applications. At Netflix, it was hundreds of microservices. For big corporations, is multiple business units to secure. Instead of focusing on application by application or service by service, think horizontal, foundational level strategy. What's that data lake that houses majority of the data? What's the control plane that we should secure? What's the majority of the tech stack used? Is it Kubernetes? Is it serverless? What programming language is mainly used? Is it Java? Is it Python? Focus on securing high-value data targets. All right, as we bring this home, here is what I want you to take from this talk. Think platform, think horizontal. Stop building one-offs. Stop creating silos. Build foundations that lift every workflow, every control, every automation. Think forward, but don't forget the past. Everything that we have seen in security, right? We talked about complexity, we talked about cheap attacks, we talked about expensive recovery from IR. Those aren't obstacles. Those are signals for you. Use those signals. Convert those from hindsight to foresight. Anticipate instead of reacting just merely. And finally, big transformations aren't loud. They are consistent. They come from relentless execution. One upgrade, one automation, one risk reframed, and one platform decision at a time. That's how a modern defense system is built. So, folks here, go back to your team, be that force of clarity, be the one to say, we are building the future of defense. Thank you so much, everyone. You've been incredible. I'm around for next 2 days if you all have any questions on any of the strategy or technical discussions. And here are the last slide. I had a thank you slide where I had a list of people who made this talk possible, including my family and a few friends. There it is. So here are the people who made this talk possible. So thank you. Please find me. I'm around. Thanks so much.